Hello everyone, I'm Mr. South. This is full lesson in 10 PE, and this is one of our videos on the 4 habits that should underpin every lesson. So to teach outstanding lessons consistently, this should become routine. This video is on learning objectives. So for as long as I've been teaching PE, there's been a debate over whether our PE lessons should be focused more on the cognitive side or more on the physical side. And there's arguments for both, and we're going to briefly talk about that and why we've taken the approach that we have. So here we have examples for lesson objectives for a lesson based on keeping possession. We have cognitive based lesson objectives on the left and physical competence based objectives on the right. So if we look at cognitive objectives first, I should mention that I'm using bronze, silver and gold as a way to differentiate these objectives. That's just a very generic way to do it, and it's easily adaptable for your school depending on what the curriculum is you're following, what the levelling system is you're following. So with these objectives, using Bloom's taxonomy, they get more difficult. So describing is an easier skill for silver, explain, and then for gold, analyze. The benefit of this approach is that regardless of a student's physical competence, they can still potentially achieve that gold objective, which is great, but I do have a couple of issues with this being the focus of the lesson. Firstly, are you going to be able to accurately assess 30 students and how well they can analyze a skill or a tactic? It's very difficult to do, especially if you're in an hour-long lesson or anything less than that. You're going to lose time on actual physical activity. And if you have a agency come in, an inspection agency, whether it's Ofsted, ADEC, a local authority, they want to come into PE and they want to see students active in their lessons. Now, if you are having this as the main approach, the main way you're showing progress in your lesson, then that physical activity level is going to be reduced. So I prefer to go the other way and go with physical objectives. Now, firstly, the negative with this is that you could argue that some students that maybe don't have a high level of physical ability, it might be very difficult for them, almost out of reach to achieve that gold level. However, there are things you can do to supplement this. So watch our video on creating the correct atmosphere within your classroom. You can have other focuses within your lesson that allows these students to still be successful. But as far as what you're assessing, then this would be my preferred approach. We also want the students to get used to this type of objective. We want our students to know where they are in their learning. So using consistent language from bronze to gold is going to be important as well. That way students can self-assess easier, and it adds that level of consistency within your lessons throughout the year. So I link it to GCSE PE on the English curriculum as far as what the levels students should be aiming for to get a good GCSE PE grade on that flight path to year 11. So bronze, attempt a range of passes in isolation using some correct technique points. So bronze will usually be around attempting things. It should be something all students can achieve. So it's more about putting in the effort and less focus on the outcome. Silver, we're starting to look at using correct technique, but maybe that's still in isolation. And then gold is correct technique with consistency. So consistency comes into play as we look at the higher levels, and then in a game situation rather than isolation. So a more open skill environment. So most of our lesson objectives will look like this, and how we'll put them onto the lesson plan videos is that I'll give you a full range. So you can pick out 3 objectives that will most suit your group, so you can level it accurately. So that will look a little bit like this. So for each lesson, our lesson plan videos, we'll have a slide that looks like this, and you can pluck the 3 objectives that could be made into bronze, silver, gold, or however you're doing it, and then that will allow you to level the lesson for your class. So every video will have this slide within it. There is, of course, the option to put those objectives together and have a cognitive element and a physical element. And that is maybe a bit more realistic if you have double PE lessons and you're looking at almost, your hour and a half, 2-hour lessons. But otherwise, that's a lot for students to take in, especially in Key Stage 3. You're giving yourself quite a lot to assess there within the time limit. And I think it does overcomplicate things a little bit too much. It's an option, but again, we're going to go down more of a physical competence route, and we're still going to, with our questioning within our lessons, test our students as far as their understanding and their cognitive understanding of our topics as well. So that's the approach we're taking. Make sure you check out the links below that have our other habits that mix in with this that will lead to outstanding PE lessons. And then you can put all that together, use it with our lesson plans, and it should all come together. So see you in the next video. Thanks for listening. Hope it was helpful. As always, comment below. Happy to receive any critique or alternative theories.